Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
Okay, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we are looking at AI, which, we talk about AI all the time on the show.
Pretty much every episode now, right?
It's such a huge topic.
It is.
And one of the biggest things is everyone is trying to figure out how to use AI to their advantage, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like how to actually get it to do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So we've got some really fascinating material you shared about AI prompt engineering strategies and Tina Huang's AI prompt guide.
Yeah.
And our goal today is to kind of pull out those core techniques so that our listeners can get much better and more useful results every time they use AI.
Exactly, because I think the key insight from these guides is that you really have to think of it like you're interacting with a human colleague.
Right.
You wouldn't just give someone a vague instruction and expect great results.
No.
And these guides are saying AI is the same way.
Right.
The more precise and thoughtful you are with your prompts, the more valuable the output's going to be.
Right.
And so we're going to dive into practical strategies to go beyond those sort of basic, frustrating AI encounters and really unlock the power of it for whatever you're working on.
Yeah.
Whether that's a big presentation or you're trying to rapidly understand a new field or just exploring what AI can do.
Exactly. And this isn't just our opinion. We're pulling this from this AI prompt engineering strategies document, which is summarizing Tina Huang's AI prompt guide PDF.
Yeah.
And she's a data scientist with a huge following.
Yeah. She's very well respected in the AI space.
And she's all about that practical, actionable approach to AI.
Exactly.
So let's dive in.
Okay.
The first thing that both of these guides emphasize is setting the stage, providing context.
Yes.
Why is this so important?
Well, what's interesting is how much an AI benefits from understanding the context, the frame of reference for your request.
Yeah.
So, it's not just processing words, but it's understanding the background. The more you tell it about the situation, the better it can tailor its response.
Exactly.
And they talk about how important it is to sort of define the AI's role.
Right.
What level of expertise are you asking it to operate from?
Yeah.
Any specific limitations or conditions that it needs to work under?
And they give some really illustrative examples, right? You see a prompt like, analyze this data set, which is super general.
Very broad.
And then you compare that to the excellent version, which is, you are a data scientist analyzing our quarterly sales data, identify key revenue patterns, create visualizations, and highlight anomalies, focus on customer segments and regional variations.
Right.
It's completely different.
It's a whole different level of clarity.
What strikes you the most about that difference?
I mean, it's that level of detail, it transforms a broad request into a specific task.
Right.
So by saying you're a data scientist, you're telling the AI what kind of knowledge to bring to bear.
Right.
You're saying, think like a data scientist.
Yes.
Use those analytical skills.
Exactly.
Specifying the quarterly sales data anchors it to a particular data set.
Right.
And then you're saying exactly what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Identify key patterns.
Yeah.
Create visualizations.
Yeah.
Highlight anomalies.
Yeah.
And focus on those customer segments and regional variations.
Yeah. It's not just like figure it out. It's
Right.
do this thing with this information.
Yes.
And they have a similar example going from analyze sales trends in this CSV, which is, slightly better.
Right.
Still pretty broad.
Yeah.
To that same detailed prompt about being a data scientist.
Yeah.
It just really shows you how adding that context at the beginning really fundamentally changes the AI's approach.
Right.
And the output becomes so much more useful.
Exactly.
So context is key.
Okay.
What's the next essential ingredient for a really great prompt?
So the next vital component is to clearly define the task itself. Really articulate precisely what you need the AI to do.
Okay.
So that means going beyond a general request to include specific actions, the desired outcomes.
Yeah.
And especially for complex tasks, breaking them down into smaller steps.
Right, because you can't just be like, solve world hunger and expect a brilliant response.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to be much more specific.
Okay, so the guides have another great set of examples here.
Okay.
They start with the prompt, help me learn Python.
Right.
That is so open-ended.
Very broad.
Where would an AI even begin with that?
It doesn't know where to start.
But then you see the excellent prompt.
Yeah.
You're a senior Python instructor. Create a step-by-step learning plan for data structures, including practice exercises for lists and dictionaries, real-world examples using pandas, common pitfalls to avoid.
Right.
It's like night and day.
It's incredibly specific.
Yeah.
So by assigning that role of senior Python instructor, you're setting an expectation for expertise.
Yeah.
You're also suggesting a pedagogical approach.
Right, like you're going to teach.
Exactly.
Not just give me a bunch of information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then by listing those specific topics,
Yeah.
data structures,
Yep.
practice exercises, real-world examples,
Yeah.
you're giving the AI a clear curriculum to build from.
Yeah.
And that specificity ensures the AI focuses on delivering a very structured and useful learning experience.
And they have a prompt that's slightly better.
Yeah.
It says, teach me Python data structures.
Right.
But it still lacks all that detail.
It doesn't have those actionable elements that are in that excellent prompt.
So we've covered setting the stage with context. We've covered clearly defining the task. What's the next piece of the puzzle when we're thinking about these really effective prompts?
So the third key is to specify the output format.
Okay.
Think about how you want the AI to present the information.
Okay.
Do you need a bulleted list, a table, a concise summary?
Yeah.
What about the length, the tone, the style?
Right.
Defining these parameters ensures that the AI's response is immediately usable.
Yeah.
And fits your needs.
And it saves so much time.
Oh, absolutely.
If you ask for a comparison of two things and you get this wall of text,
Brilliant.
when what you really needed was a side-by-side.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to reformat it.
It's so frustrating.
It is.
So the guides illustrate this well.
Okay.
They give the example of make a content plan.
Right.
Again, super vague.
Yeah.
But the excellent prompt is present the plan in a table format with columns for platform content type, and key message include engagement hooks for each piece. Keep individual posts under 200 characters.
Right.
So incredibly specific.
It is. It's like a blueprint for the answer.
So by specifying that table format with those columns, you're telling it exactly how to organize the information.
Right.
And then asking for those engagement hooks adds a layer of strategy.
It does.
And then the character limit forces the AI to be concise and think in terms of, social media friendly content.
Exactly. Yeah. And they give a slightly better example, like create a formatted content plan with specific sections.
Right.
But it's still not that level of specific instruction that we get in the excellent prompt.
Right. It's not actionable.
Exactly.
It's just like, make it good.
Right.
But what does good even mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So specifying the output format is like giving it a blueprint for its answer.
It is.
So we've got context-defined, task-specified output format.
Yeah.
What's another powerful technique that we can use?
So another really effective strategy that unlocks a lot of the potential is using role assignment.
Okay.
And this is where you explicitly instruct the AI to act as a specific type of expert.
Oh, wow.
Or persona.
Okay.
And by doing this, you tap into the AI's ability to simulate specialized knowledge and adopt a particular viewpoint.
So it's like saying, okay, for this task, I want you to put on your expert hat as a fill in the blank.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It is, yeah, and they give a good example where they start with debug this code, which is very general.
Right.
And they transform it into, as a senior ML engineer specializing in neural networks, review this PyTorch implementation. Identify performance bottlenecks, suggest optimization strategies for training speed.
Okay, so we went from high school student to PhD in one sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've suddenly got this very specific expert.
Right.
So you're telling the AI to approach the task with that deep understanding of ML neural networks and PyTorch.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead to much more relevant and insightful feedback.
It's not just going to be like, oh, you forgot a semicolon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even going from debug this Python machine learning model to that very specific role makes a world of difference.
Right.
The level of expertise changes everything.
And it's not just for super technical tasks.
Yeah.
The guides give another example in data analysis.
Okay.
So analyze this data set very broad. Compared to Analyze our customer churn dataset with these parameters, focus on users inactive greater than 30 days, compare behavioral patterns pre-churn, include statistical significance tests, output visualizations in Seaborn.
Right.
That's a mouthful.
It is, but it's so specific.
It's like you're assigning the role without saying it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not saying act as a data analyst, but you're giving it the instructions that a data analyst would understand.
Right.
So by mentioning that churn data set,
Yeah.
specifying the criteria,
Right.
requesting the statistical test,
Yep.
naming the visualization library,
Yeah.
you're saying this is how a data professional would do it.
Yeah, and even going from analyze customer churn patterns to that level of detail just shows how much more effective it can be when you think about that expertise.
Exactly.
Okay, so role assignment. Fantastic tool.
Yeah.
What other techniques can we add to our prompt engineering toolkit?
So another crucial strategy is to add specific constraints. Now, it's important to understand that constraints aren't about limiting the AI. It's not about putting it in a box.
No.
What it's really about is boosting clarity.
Okay.
So by setting these boundaries, you're helping the AI understand exactly what a successful and useful response looks like.
So it's kind of like giving it the dimensions
Yeah.
of a design project.
Exactly.
And, this is what it needs to fit within.
Yes, and they give an example in the guide where they go from a very open-ended, how do I implement this, to provide 2 implementations of this sorting algorithm optimized for memory efficiency, optimized for processing speed, include time complexity analysis for each.
Okay.
So suddenly you're not just saying, how do I do this? You're saying, I need 2 options.
Right.
I need them optimized for these specific things, and I need to know how complex they are.
Right.
So you're giving the AI these very targeted requests.
Yeah.
And the initial prompt, how do I implement this, could lead to anything. But by adding those constraints, you're getting much more relevant solutions.
So much more useful.
Yeah.
And they have that middle ground prompt show different ways to implement this algorithm. But again, it lacks those optimization criteria.
Right.
So this is like, show me a bunch of different things.
Exactly.
But I don't know what I need yet.
Right.
So those constraints really, really help.
They do. They sharpen the AI's focus.
So helpful to think of constraints as clarity boosters rather than limitations.
Exactly.
And then the last strategy they talk about is requesting examples and variations.
Yes.
Why is that so valuable?
It's incredibly beneficial because it allows you to explore different approaches and different styles.
Yeah.
So when you're not entirely sure what kind of output will work best, or you want to compare different options, ask the AI to generate multiple versions.
Oh, interesting.
And then you have a broader range to evaluate.
Right.
It's like brainstorming with the AI.
That's really cool because sometimes I feel like I don't know what I want until I see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to see a few different options.
Okay, so what happens if we do all this and it's still not quite right?
Right.
The AI's first attempt isn't what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
The guide has some troubleshooting tips, right?
It does.
Yeah.
The AI prompt guide offers some great tips for when the AI's response isn't what you wanted.
Okay.
The first thing they say is to go back and add more context.
Okay.
So think about your audience. What are your goals for this?
Right.
If the AI doesn't understand why you're asking or who it's for, it's going to struggle to give you a relevant answer.
Which kind of brings us full circle, right?
It does, yeah.
Context is so important.
It's fundamental.
So what's the next troubleshooting tip?
So they say to break your request down into smaller steps.
Okay.
Especially if it's a complex task.
Right.
Trying to do it all at once can be overwhelming for the AI.
Like for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So break it down into a sequence of prompts.
Okay.
And that'll make it easier.
At those bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. Much more manageable.
Okay. What else do they suggest?
So another tip is to provide examples of what you consider a good output.
Okay, so show it what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have a previous response you liked or a similar piece of content, showing the AI that as an example can really help it understand your expectations.
So it's like showing it the target.
Yes.
So it knows what to aim for.
Precisely.
And the final tip?
The last tip is to ask for variations.
Okay.
And then iterate.
Okay.
So get a few different responses.
Yeah.
See the different angles.
Yeah.
Then take the best parts of each one and refine your prompts.
Oh, that's interesting. So you kind of like work with it.
Exactly. You're collaborating with the AI.
To get to that perfect answer.
Precisely.
I love it.
It's a really powerful way to work.
Okay. So to summarize.
Yeah.
Clear context. Precise task definition. Specifying that output format. strategically assigning roles, adding constraints, and asking for examples and variations.
Exactly.
All of this can dramatically improve the quality and relevance of what we get from AI.
It transforms the whole interaction.
And for our listeners, the real takeaway here is about efficiency.
Yes.
It's about getting the information you need quickly and thoroughly.
Exactly.
Without all that extra noise.
Right. You don't want to be wading through irrelevant information.
And it's almost like you're learning how to use a new tool.
It is.
And the more you practice, the better you get at using it.
Precisely.
And you can really unlock those powerful features.
Exactly.
It really makes you think about how this could change things in the future.
It does, yeah.
If we can get to a point where we can just tell AI exactly what we need, and it delivers,
it would be a game changer.
How would that change problem solving or research or even creative endeavors?
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
It would really transform how we work.
So if you're listening to this and you're intrigued, try experimenting with these techniques on a challenge you're facing right now.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by how effective they are.
I think so.
And if you want to learn more, definitely check out Tina Huang and Breeze AI.
Yes.
They're both mentioned in the guides.
They are.
And they have even more resources you can explore.
Exactly.
So until next time, happy prompting.
Happy prompting.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.